Hi everyone, so this is kind of a Star Wars-y video. I know I've been posting song covers and some piano stuff. This is another one of those Star Wars Greebly videos, and this one is a cry for help. So Return of the Jedi came out in 1983. It's 2023 now. So what, that's like 40 some years? 40, actually it might be exactly 40. I'm sorry if I'm incorrect about that, because this is on the fly. But this is a cry for help, because there is one Greebly that we still have not identified in 40 years. We have come very close, but it's interestingly, we discover little tidbits about the Greebly by looking at different industries, right? So sometimes, you know, we look at switches and we're now looking at the way the switch is connected to a circuit and how different companies have different versions, and that helps us narrow down the switch. Oh, I've got some rust on this. Can you see that, guys? Let me bring the light over. Can you see that? There's actually rust. Well, I guess that's good weathering. Maybe I should strip that and put a little oil on it, or Renaissance wax. That's surprising. Are there any on these? No. No. It's okay. This is nickel-plated brass. These flashes, these Graflex flashes. So you'd see yellow when you drill into it. That's not brown. Anyways. So there is a Greebly that these two share in common. And it is this. This was designed, this piece was designed and fabricated by wanawanga.com by Roy, a very avid member of the Replica Prop Forum, very talented. This is his 3D printed or injection, I think this is injection molded, replica of what we see. Yep, that shape, that's the time. And to be honest, this isn't exactly the part. So let me back up a little bit and give you some context. The first time we see it is actually on... Sorry, I just got distracted. Oh, that was a piece of brown T-track that I painted black. Good. Okay. Maybe that's paint. I don't know. Anyways, this lightsaber right here. See all those bolts on it? This was a Luke stunt lightsaber. For whatever reason, they used this many bolts to situate a core and a tang, all machined metal, in there, so that when you put the blade on, there's enough meat back here for counterbalance and for strength to take the blows. I don't know why there were this many. I think I talked about this in another video. This might be to keep the tube round because it's brass, which is rather soft. Who knows? But there are two cores, one here, and then this very long one all the way down here. Now this got reused. The clamp was taken off. The back end was reused. And this was turned into a Darth Vader lightsaber. They put something over here to make it look black at the tip. The knobs were taken off. It was kind of revamped a little bit. And because the clamp was gone, they put something else in its place. So this box, as we have been looking at it for years and years, was essentially the replacement for the clamp box. This being a band clamp, it's not actually a box, it's, there you go, it's a piece of steel wrapped around that pinches your camera when you assemble this on a camera. But so this essentially was here on the Vader lightsaber, right in the middle. And two screws were run through the darned thing, right through there, to attach it to whatever the heck is underneath here on that saber. We don't actually know how it's held together yet, which is another bone I have to pick. So these holes might just be the holes that they drilled to install it on the saber. They could exist in the real part, they could not. The box is original, that little rectangular cutout. This slot is original as well. There's a little mark right there, which I think is an injection molding mark. stuff like. And there's these two holes at the bottom that lead into these two chambers. And there's a version of this that has a metal plate, like a contact plate in it, just kind of stuck. So I think that came out of this, and I think those were wire contacts. And these were the holes for the wires. So I think this is electrical. Because of this slot here, get it reflected in the light again. Because of this, I thought it was a breaker. Because there are circuit breakers that have a gap on one side and they're solid on the other. But this is very small. This would have to be like a, what, 0.5 amp breaker. Oh yeah, there's also a little doodad there. But we haven't found any breakers this small that look like this. Like maybe it was a push button breaker. Nothing. It's also about 5 centimeters long, about 2 inches, which is the same size as most micro switches. And this is black. And micro switches tend to be black plastic, at least the old ones, if you Google them. So we thought this might have been a micro switch. Most of them have screw holes in the sides to mount it to a plate. So we found nothing that looks like this. In a way, there are toggle switches that have the toggle up here, and this looks like the back, you know, of the switch casing. Unfortunately, most toggle switches that are like this are square. They're not rectangles. So we've hit all these like close marks, but still found nothing. There's no product information on it. There's no codes. The other clues that we have, there's a piece of it. We're pretty sure it's a piece of it on some other lightsabers. This is a Vader lightsaber, and this is the same part. You can kind of see the profile. I'm going to take, now Roy made his replica come apart so that you could use the plate on other sabers. So, if I match them up here, on this lightsaber, this is the stunt Vader. It was motorized in A New Hope. Then it was used as a fighting stunt, like a hard one with no motor in Empire, just like this one, hence the bolts. In Return of the Jedi, it was cast as Vader's severed hand. So it was rotocast in fiberglass for a light copy that goes with Vader's hand that Luke chops off. Anyways, this Greeley was cut down. Where is the lens? There it is. So you can see this is where the cutouts were. Boom, right there. And it's a bit shorter because the extra rectangular section on one of the sides was cut off. I believe it's this way, because one of the sections does not have a full wall. Yeah, there you go. So it was chopped down and screwed, not using the screw holes, but with little brass screws to this. Funnily enough, I also found the same little round walls in ceramic fuses that used to use Kevlar or some wick. Kevlar? It might have been asbestos. I don't know exactly, but it was some wick that I think would burn. But there's ceramic fuses that look like this too. We don't know if it actually came apart like that. There might have been multiple pieces to this. But yeah, so I made a copy myself out of styrene, just like the old model makers used to, of the part on that saber. So this is my scratch made, then putting the master into a silicone mold. It's the same size. So I do think Roy's copy is a little smaller. If we match up these, and remember it would have the extra section on it, so that lines up, but width-wise, it's a little smaller. I have a casting that includes the original part from set, from a commercial set, post-filming. And so I made my styrene copy to those dimensions. So Roy's is a little skinnier, but considering we don't even know what the part is, at least we know the size. And the interesting thing is this part on the other saber could be the bottom of it. It could be a separate piece to the original part, but at least we kind of know the skeleton framework on the inside. Interesting, right? So that might have been a kind of a lucky shot that it was used on another saber, so we could see maybe the internals, which is why I think those were wire access holes, those two rectangles, because the closest thing I have found is this. This is a massive toggle switch, like a three gang? Yeah, a group of 3 toggle switches from Royal Air Force Electronics. So this is a vintage RAF switch box. It's an older version because some of the switch casings that you see have a long rectangular gap right here to access the wires. For some reason, this one has an open-ended back with rectangular wire slots and a little bit of a T-shaped profile. So I picked this up just to inspect it more, the material, which does seem to look like the black material of the thing, and to inspect the wire holes, which they're not that different. I'm trying to get some reflection here. Yeah, and if you can imagine that this mystery part, if this was just like a single pole switch version compared to a multiple pole, it's believable. And I've not seen this kind of wire access on many things. Some British toggle switches, and apparently Royal Air Force stuff. The saber was made in England, I'm pretty sure, because it was used on the Death Star fight. It's actually, the saber that this thing is on is, I'm on a light table, which is tilted, so that kind of gravity takes over. But the saber was used in the last fight where, Luke kind of wood chops Vader's hand off. As violent as that scene is, this is a pretty heavy saber, so the counterweight was perfect for that. And it was used in some other fighting scenes in that battle. But it was a Return of the Jedi prop. And the Death Star was done in England, the internals. So we're guessing that this was an English part, just like the sync knob and some other stuff. So this is a cry for help. If you recognize the shape, or if you're working in an industry where you see stuff like this all the time, please let us know. It could be aerospace scrap from avionics. It could be just an electric switch from radio spares back in the day, but I've never seen anything that doesn't have the mounting holes. There is a space in the center. There might be 2 holes. There might not. It might be solid. And there was somebody a long time ago that shared a rumor with us that it was actually a momentary switch. Maybe the spring was in there, and these were the 2 electrical contacts. Maybe it was part of a bigger thing. Maybe it did come apart, like Roy's. But, yeah. Hey, there it goes again. I have a ghost in this office. I don't. So, if anybody knows, if anybody works in the industry, we have gone through so many things in the past few decades trying to identify this with no go, unfortunately. But we got very close, and I did a couple Reddit posts, but the Reddit communities, sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you don't. Last time I pissed people off, I think, by not giving them enough information, but we don't have a lot of pictures of this. We only have set pieces, or set pictures, or museum photos. The last time this went out on tour, it was too far away. It was on a costume, so we couldn't see it. The last time it was up close was during the Smithsonian Air and Space Magic of Myth tour, which I think was in the 90s or something. So the photos are all kind of 90s photos. They're a little blurry. It's smooth. It could be porcelain or bakelite. Or it's just painted. Who knows? And you'll see, if you are not a lightsaber person, if you Google ROTJ Vader lightsaber, you'll get it. Or DV6. We have acronyms because it's hard to denote different props. But it was used, the DV6, it was used in the 6th film, 3rd to come out, and it has these bolts all over it. You'll notice a difference, or you'll notice similarities between them, because it was the same lightsaber recycled from Luke to Vader, interestingly enough. And then this is my Empire. You'll see this when Luke knocks Darth Vader in the shoulder when they're fighting in Empire Strikes Back. When Luke finally gets a hit and he knocks Darth Vader in the shoulder and Darth Vader grabs his shoulder and goes, ow! He's using this stunt, which was the leftover motorized one from the first film. Now with a solid core, a little bit extra T-track there, some calculator lens bubbles. And then the mystery part. We don't know if this is on it in Empire because Vader is always holding it right here. Now, of course, that's where the center of balance is. That's where the metal is. Luke is always holding this right here. There's a couple shots where we could see all of these because he's holding it by the back or something for some choreography, but Vader is always holding this right here. So it's hard to really tell, but we do have like a cast from Jedi, right? Vader's hand has the fiberglass piece. And you can see these on it, and it still has the bubbles, which are now gone from the lightsaber. So if it had some leftovers from Empire, it was a good estimation that it still had this stuff back then. Some 080 screws in there. Those were tough to tap. I use a drill now because it's hard to hand tap without a bubble level or something to start your tap, but a drill sometimes will work perfectly. Anyways, if you recognize this part or if you have any ideas, please let me know either in the comments or through the RPF. Or if you know me, just text me or something. But this is my cry for help. We need to identify this. God knows what it really is. It's figure of speech. But maybe it's avionics. Maybe it's old Royal Air Force and it's a specific breaker or switch that we've never seen before. Who knows? Help us. You're our only hope. All of you are our only hope. I'm glad they didn't put that in the script. Yeah, so thank you, and I will see you around.